your brother?
Yeah,
when you
out
were
on a farm, you know. We had bicycles one day. We was doing something with it. Something was wrong with one of the bikes, and we was trying to fix it, you know. And somehow we got in an argument, and he got real angry at me. He had a big crescent wrench, and he threw it at me, and I got hit right in the head.
Oh my goodness.
Boy, did I tear into him and beat him up. Boy, he just screamed bloody murder
my
after I beat him up.
goodness.
How old were you? You guys at this? Were you guys what?
Oh, probably young teenagers, 12, 13, I suppose, maybe
Yeah.
14, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Well, you know what they
he
say: if you
cried
can
so
dodge a
hard,
wrench.
I swear I was trying to kill him. He was screaming.
Aww.
My grandma come out, what's the matter with you? I said, well, we got in a fight, and he threw the wrench at me, so I beat him up.
Well, clearly you didn't dodge the wrench. You know what they say about wrenches?
Yeah,
If you can dodge a wrench.
Dodge it all.
I didn't dodge it though, he got me right in the forehead.
Wow.
That hurt, I tell
So
you.
what else you remember about your Doug, right? Your brother
Yeah.
Doug. What else you remember?
We always had fun wrestling on the haystacks. We had fun, you know.
Yeah.
You said he was more. Okay, gotcha.
Did Doug have a girlfriend?
Well, that's kind of young.
Well, let's see.
No,
Well, before he
Doug was
died,
24, yeah, before
I don't know if he really.
died.
The neighbor boys, you know, the farmers, they were always together. They'd always come over and they'd go places. They was always going together places. I didn't usually go with them, but Doug, he was with them all the time. They'd come over almost every evening after got off work. They'd want to go somewhere. Well, he went with them. But I don't remember him having a girlfriend that I know of.
Did you guys?
He could have, but I don't.
Either of you guys have like hobbies or anything on the farm, or any hobbies or things you like to do, or?
Well, not really. I mean, we didn't have nothing special to do.
So, Dad, you got married to Joyce before your brother died?
No, afterwards.
Afterwards.
That was later on.
Oh, yeah.
So how old are you when you got married?
27.
Oh, 27. Okay, I know I was 30s. Okay, okay. Interesting.
And Joyce is 20. I was 7 years older than she was.
Yeah.
Till about 1965 or 66. I was on construction for maybe 7, 8 years.
Like doing what? Like laying concrete or putting up houses or?
I worked with concrete and brick and block layers and cement finishers. And after
you know
that, why, 1970, I heard Volcraft was hiring. You know, that new plant, it was fairly new then, and they was advertising for help. And they started out, and payment was pretty good. But I was there a week after I quit. After construction, I went, when we was building the high school here in Norfolk, the superintendent come by and he said, I'd like to hire you. And he hired 2 other guys, too, from construction. I said, gee, only once a month payment? And the payment wasn't that great, but I loved the job. So I said, well, I'll try it. So I did. I stayed with it for about 5, 6 years. And that was I had to quit because there wasn't enough money to keep it going. So
You said this was a construction company?
yeah, they was out of Hutchinson or out of Kansas. I forget the town. Hutchinson, I think they was from.
Gotcha. Is it a company that's still up and running?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, after I went to the interview for a Volcraft back in 1970, I went down there for an interview, and about a week later they hired me. And they put me on a job I hated. I was there about a week.
You're talking about Volcraft.
Yeah, Volcraft, out there in the production line. I hated that job, terrible.
Surprised you
And
didn't go. I'm surprised you didn't go look for something within Volcraft as a company, because the company was good.
Well, I didn't go to college or anything, but I tried different jobs out there, and it still didn't help me any. And I stood it for about a year and a half, and I went to the doctor all the time because I got high blood pressure, and I couldn't go home. I was just so uptight all the time. I couldn't go home because the job went with me, and I hated it. Finally, I knew this Ken Boyer. He was the head of the job service. I'd contact him twice a week. And I kept looking, and finally, the doctor told me, he said, the best thing for you to get out of there. I said, I'm trying. And Ken Boyer, he said he contacted me if anything come up. Well, about middle of summer of 1971, he called me, hey Lauren, he says, Walker Meyer Furniture is looking for a truck driver, a delivery man. He said, you be interested? I said, sure. I went down there.
10 years later.
No. I got hired on. I said, I'll start tomorrow. And they said, okay. I says, so I went back to my supervisor at Volcraft, and I told he knew my situation. And I told him I'm quitting. I said I cannot give him 2 weeks notice because he says I understand about your health and stuff, and he says I understand quite a bit. I thanked him. He was a nice supervisor, and so I went to work for Walker Meyer, and I stayed there 13 years.
Yep.
And then one of the bosses and I got into it. Well, he threatened me because I wasn't going to buy him cigarettes. He said, I'm going to fire him.
Wait, I've never heard this story. Okay.
You never?
No, I've never heard this story. Okay, so
But
Walker
anyway,
Meyer.
This is one of those stories you didn't tell us about.
Yeah, so, okay, I got to hear this. So, I never knew the story behind leaving Walker Meyer, so I got to hear this.
Harlan Priner was, at that time, Harlan Priner and Jack Fleming were the boss. Walker and Meyer sold out to Harlan and Jack Fleming, and Priner and Fleming, they bought out. But they still kept the name of Walker Meyer for a while. Then they changed it to Northeast Nebraska Furniture. But anyway, Harlan was like just one of the guys. Like on Saturday morning, we only worked part of the day, and he says, well, Jack didn't come in till 9:30, and he said, let's turn on television and watch television for a while. We did until here comes Jack, so we went in the back room and worked. And then anyway, Jack would come in, always brought the bank money, and he'd always come in, always smoke cigarettes real heavy.
Chain smoker, right.
Jack Fleming was boss. He was just opposite of Harlan. And I seen him chew guys out in front of customers. And poor guys that got chewed out, I felt sorry for when he chewed them out. So one day I kept buying her cigarettes all the time because go down to Penn Save and buy me a carton of cigarettes. Well, I always did because I was afraid to tell him no. Well, finally I got up enough nerve to tell him no. And when I told him, Lauren, go down, give me some money, I'll get you down and get your cigarette, get me some cigarettes. I said, Jack, I'm not going to do it anymore. His mouth dropped. His mouth dropped right open.
How did he react again?
His mouth, he didn't know.
I love it.
It was a shock to him that I told him no.
I can't believe you did that. That's awesome.
I did. I had enough nerve to tell him no. And he says, well, if you don't get me my cigarettes, I'm going to fire you.
No way.
He did.
And he did.
Well, no.
That day, or?
No, I quit. But I didn't quit that day. And ever since then, him and I was sort of...
At odds, yeah.
Yeah, at odds. And I told Harlan, he says, well, there ain't much you can do. He says, but Harlan was a great guy. He was excellent. They were just opposite of night and day. Jack would like to go out and drink, and he drank pretty heavy.
I'm
He
surprised
smoked all the time.
Harlan didn't talk to the other, didn't try to get him to
Well, he
compromise.
might have. But anyway...
That's
Jake
crazy.
Cox,
I've never heard that story. That's pretty awesome.
Jake Cox of Lynn & Sons,
Yep.
I got to know Jake real well, and he says, we'd like to hire you.
Wait, how did that come about again? So Jake Cox.
Jake, you know Jake.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And he says, I'd like to hire you.
But how did you know him? How did you?
We started getting groceries at Economy. He worked at, Lynn & Sons it was called. They had one out west, and then they had one on
No, I remember that. Yeah.
before they went downtown. But anyway, I got to know Jake real good because we kept getting groceries there.
As a
all the time.
customer.
Yeah. And Jake said finally, he says, Lynn and Lynn Cox and Al, I can't think of his last name. He said they're going to split up and Lynn's going to buy out Al. So it'll be just called Lynn and Sons. Jake and Jeff. And so, so he said, I'd like to hire you. And I said, well, I'll think about it. And finally I said, okay, I think I'll go to work for you. And I said, I'll give 2 weeks notice at Walker Meyer. Well, I told Harlan before I told Jack.
Of course, yeah.
And I said, you watch, Jack's going to fire me that same day because I seen him fire guys right away. And so Harlan said, okay. And I went into the office And Jack didn't know about this. So I told him right then and there. Harlan knew, but Jack didn't. Okay, he says, let Lauren go. Write him out a check right now. Let him go. So I quit and left. But Jack was a pain in the you know where.
Yeah.
It was different as night and day.
Wow, that's
And then
quite the
about
story.
6 months later, they sold out. People said, well, they couldn't do it without you, could they? I said, I guess not.
See, they couldn't do without Lauren.
But-
Wow, that's a
and
crazy
then,
story.
Then I stayed with Lynn and Sons from July 84 till December 31st, 87. That's when
Wow.
I started with Dietz.
Wow.
Because Joyce went down there to look for some furniture or something, and she heard they was talking about needing help. So I knew I handled furniture for Walker Meyer for 13 years, so I'm going to get down there and see if I can get on. I got on. Well, Martin Dietz was the owner at that time, and he says, well, I went to interview for about an hour and stuff. He says, well, I'll let you know. This was around Thanksgiving time.
Well, these were pretty good people, though, weren't they? They seemed,
Oh, yeah.
they seemed to treat you pretty good over the years.
Oh, yeah. But anyway, I didn't get on right away, and I thought, well, this was Thanksgiving. But 2 weeks later, I still didn't hear nothing from them. And then I got a phone call around close to Christmas. We're going to hire you. If you want to come to work, we're going to hire you. And then I quit Lynn & Sons right away.
Hey, Lauren.
I gave my 2 weeks notice at Lynn & Sons, though, before I went to work for
Lauren,
Dietz.
how come you and Joyce didn't stay together?
We had our personal differences.
You were just going off too.
Personally?
There was no other person involved.
Oh.
You know, I would have never got a divorce. Never.
It was
I don't believe in a divorce, but
Joyce wanted a divorce? Did she take
we tried to work things out with the pastor, but later on she decided. I told my lawyer, I said, I don't want no divorce. So he said, it's too easy to get a divorce in Nebraska. Don't even fight it. And so she had her mind made up. She had a hot and quick temper anyway. Joyce did.
Joyce had a hot and quick temper?
She was always, well, you let people walk all over you. Why don't you tell them off and stuff like that? I said, I'm not going to do that. It ain't going to do no good.
Joyce had the hot and quick temper.
Yeah, I never did. She always had a,
I didn't know that.
You were
that's my
the
opinion anyway. She had a quick temper.
you were the more the
Laid back or whatever you want to.
well, I do agree with you. You would let people say things because
Yeah,
you
I
don't
say
react
it ain't going to do no good to tell them off. She said, why don't you tell the people off?
unless they ask you to get cigarettes over and over and over for them.
No way. Sometimes people like, you go get some cigarettes. I said, no way. They're just teasing me anyway, but.
I mean, you called the radio stations yesterday about the happy
That's true.
holidays.
That's true. You did that. That's true. You called the radio station.
Yeah, I did. I called the radio station. The TV stations.
Okay, so we're gonna give some context because we had this conversation the way over here. So, Dad let us know. I mean, and I don't blame him for having the sentiment. You know, people say happy holiday without, you know, they won't say Merry Christmas in a lot of cases to be more generically, you know, whatever. Right. And which irritates Dad, of course, which I get. And so Dad called what? Not one, not two, but 3 radio
I called
stations.
Channel 4, Channel 9, and 14 and 44. And then I called the one in Norfolk here. and told
Can you
them
believe
how I
that, John?
felt. It just burns me
That's
up.
crazy.
They say Happy Holidays. Don't people know what holiday it is? Say Merry Christmas. It just burns me up.
I can't be mad at you for thinking that because it is true. I mean,
They said, well, thank you for giving us your thoughts and your review.
is that pretty cool or what? I gotta admit
If one of them
that's
thanked me
pretty.
for giving my opinion and my view about how I feel.
Well, I guess you won't be walked in anymore, will you?
So, Lauren, you were the calm one in the marriage, and Joyce was the actor.
The
I
reacting
guess, well, maybe she'd probably tell you something different, but.
No. I'm just talking to you.
Yeah.
I'm talking to you.
Yeah, I could never.
one. You were the docile one.
You could never what, Lauren?
I didn't like it because she always said, you always tell them off. I said, it ain't gonna do no good to tell them off, you know. She said, you're gonna let people walk all over you.
Did Joyce ever hit you?
What's that?
Joyce, she ever hit you?
No.
No.
She claims I hit her once, but years ago, I tried to spank her. And she tried, you know, and she said I hit her in the back. Well, I probably did, but I tried to spank her. I put her over my knee and tried to spank her, and she didn't like that. And she claimed that I hit her. And
Wait,
hit her.
not
Well,
in
you
the
guys
section.
during the session, what do I hear about? Really?
You know, the pastor always mentioned that once in a while.
Excuse me.
You've
So
got the right to correct your wife or something or whatever. He said, you
Right.
got the right to turn over and,
you got and spank her. Right, right.
Yeah.
And she didn't like that?
I tried to grab her, put her over my knee, and I tried to spank, and she fought and put her hand behind her, and evidently I must have missed the spot. But that's the only time she claimed I hit her once, but I don't ever remember that. That's the only time I think I could possibly.
So you guys went your separate ways because it was what Joyce wanted.
Is this a three-way
Well,
battle?
yeah, I wasn't gonna fight the lawyer because he said it wouldn't do any good.
Well, she said
Dude, somebody
that
right?
mentioned that you were kind of rough with her with sex.
Well, well, she didn't like sex. Let's put it that way. She hated it.
Okay, well that will make a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just
Yeah,
true. Maybe it was rough on her.
Yeah.
It was rough on me too. You know.
Right. Right.
At first it was great, but then later on, for some reason, she hated it, and
Well, it's probably something a lot of couples don't talk about.
I don't want to talk about it. But
Okay.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
that's one of our. Another thing is, money was involved all the time.
Right.
And but there was never no other person involved.
Right.
Right.
I forget what you put down for divorce.
Irreconcilable differences?
Well,
John was
something.
still in school, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what. I can't
Because I
think of
was
what it
probably-
was.
All the kids are
Yeah, I was in sixth grade.
Look, there was no other person involved. Like I said, I didn't believe in divorce, and I still don't. It was wrong, but it happened. So
It happens. Yeah.
because I would have never filed for us, never.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I told my lawyer, and he said, "Well, it ain't gonna do. It wasn't doing much good because don't fight it." Then the pastor in church found out. Well, he said, "Don't quit coming to church. Keep coming," which I did. I kept on coming.
Yeah. Interesting.